It's fun playing games, play the reins of Castamere, cause I'm married to the game and about to make a killing. Want all the blood spilling, it's Red Dead and I'm about redemption. So come peep this track and hear my own ascension. So many words, you couldn't bench press them. So many words, you couldn't bench press them.
Hello folks, my name is Jordan Adams and this is my co-host Andrew. Andrew, why don't you let them know our key topic points?
So our key topic points today are going to be key Vikings additions and re-signs, as well as talking about the Vikings veterans that left the organization, as well as the guaranteed money coming up and what we think the Vikings should do dealing with those guarantees. Jordan, do you want to start off leading with the additions of Byron Murphy?
Yeah, Byron Murphy Jr., he is an exciting free agent pickup and only 25 years old. He only has 4 seasons in the NFL, just finishing up his rookie contract. An exciting, young, and fast player that will add a new dynamic to the Vikings defense. What do you think about him?
I'm a little worried. He didn't play last year with due to him having a bad back. He also, within the 9 games he did play, didn't register a single interception, and I think he only had that one forced fumble. So it is a little concerning, but it's a relatively cheap contract, $11 million a year for a young veteran. I don't see why we don't take the shot, considering our cornerback room is entirely empty at the moment.
Well, I think you're paying for potential. I mean, he comes in as the number 1 corner on the team, automatically. Even in the draft, he's our number 1 guy. And speaking of players like that, Marcus Davenport. What do you think of that signing?
Marcus Davenport is about the same, but he does have a shit ton more injury history than Byron Murphy. If I remember correctly, he has only played 36 or 42 games or something like that out of the 4 seasons that he's been in the NFL, and they've been like hit or miss throughout. Like versus Byron Murphy's injury kind of worrying me because it was just one big one last season. Right. This is several injuries over several years. You know what I mean? So, like, is he going to be a guaranteed, like, he's going to miss a month every year kind of guy? Or not?
Right.
That's what we got to figure out. And
I mean, in 2021, he had 9 sacks, which is a pretty good total, but only half a sack last year. That sketches me out a little bit, but I'm just imagining the dynamic trio of potentially Zadarius Smith, Danielle Hunter, and Marcus Davenport. I mean, I'm literally gushing at the potential of them to get the quarterback.
Yeah. The 3 of them, plus get another edge in the draft or something like that, even a late round pick just to be some depth to back up those guys. Yeah. I can absolutely see that being a good pick, provided he gets more than a half sack for us this season.
Yeah, but it's only a 1-year deal, so if he doesn't pan out, we're not out too much.
Yeah.
And then we have Josh Oliver, blocking tight end, that should help with the struggling run game. Our offensive line's been inconsistent, kind of a big deal for a blocking tight end. He only has 26 receptions, 230 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 3 seasons, so he's not going to add too much in the receiving department, but, I mean, what do you think of his blocking abilities?
Well, I mean, it's pretty rare to find a halfway decent blocking tight end in the NFL nowadays. Everyone's trying to be that pass catcher, that next Gronk or that next Kelsey or anything like that. Not to say that Kelsey or Gronk couldn't block, but that's yards get you money at the end of the day, so it's hard to find tight ends that have focused on blocking throughout their career nowadays, which is increasing the market value of them, in my opinion. So
Oliver got $7 million a year, didn't he? A little over. Wasn't it a $21 million contract over 3 years?
Yeah, $21 million over 3 years. So that's
like the amount of money we're gonna have to pay to him and Hawkinson. That sounds like a lot of money in the tight end room. So hopefully it pans out.
Yeah. We just gotta hope that we got the number 1 blocking tight end, because then that makes it worth it. If it's maybe number 3 guy or lower, maybe that's not worth it, and we revisit that contract after, because I think it's like, what is it, 13 mil guaranteed or something like that, like like the first 2 years or something like that, with probably like an out for the majority of the 3rd year.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that's the smart way to go, kind of similar to Marcus Davenport earlier. Like, it's kind of like prove that you're worth it to us. I don't even think we have to worry about TJ Hawkinson's deal until
this is his
next
fifth-year option. So, next year it'll be kicking in for the big deal. And then Jefferson will be soon as well. So, it's going to be some big contracts coming up, especially with Darisaw as well.
Wait, this is Hawkinson's fifth-year option?
That he's going to be playing in this year.
Oh, shit. So we have to pick that up and pay him, what, 18 mil, something like that? I think it was
already picked up before we got him, wasn't it? Because you can pick them up after the third year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. I haven't heard any news about the Vikings, like whether or not they're going to or anything. Any of that over-dramatized BS from the media.
Right.
Because we would have picked it up no matter what.
Right. So that's a pretty good free agent haul. I mean, 3 guys, 26 and under, who can potentially help. I mean, it's big things, too. Defensive playmakers. We really needed some more pass rushing. We really needed help in the secondary. And our run game was atrocious. So it's nice to address all the spots before we get into the draft so we can potentially draft best who's available. But maybe we should get into the guys that we re-signed. What do you think of Greg Joseph being re-signed?
Greg Joseph being re-signed, the extra points scare the shit out of me. It's worrying that I am more concerned when he lines up for an extra point than when he does a 60-yarder.
That's true, but from my personal experience as a Viking fan, you just can't be picky with your kickers. Sure, he misses the extra points, but he makes most kicks, and as a Viking fan, that's not a given. That's not a given.
Yeah, dude, especially the clutch ones. Like, that 61-yarder against the Giants, there's no way any of the last 7 kickers the Vikings have had outside of Blair Walsh's rookie season, there's no way any of them make that kick.
I mean, Dan Bailey came in here as the best, historically in the NFL, kick percentage kicker of all time. He did not leave that way. It's just astounding. So I'm hoping that potentially with one of those late picks we have, I know we only have 5 this year, but I think it's hard to hit on a guy in the late rounds. So maybe to draft a kicker and bring in some competition during training camp might be nice. Because Joseph definitely has the potential, but like you said, the PATs, they need to be fixed. It can really haunt us come if we start to make a run or anything serious.
I'd be curious about the holder in that situation, because, I mean, the extra point should be automatic for any kicker at the NFL level. Like, I'm talking at least 90%, right? And what was his? I think it was
Unless
sub 90,
Blair Walsh.
I think. Yeah, so, like, looking at, like, how the placeholder holds the ball, might be time to look at someone to potentially replace that guy. I'm not 100% sure who he is, so I'm not going to go into that too much there. I think he was worth re-signing overall. Just, if anything, he proved that he can kick clutch, and that is crazy important, because if you can kick clutch, it doesn't matter that you missed that one extra point the majority of the time.
I agree. Then we have long snapper Andrew DePaula. First team All-Pro. Enough said. I mean, a 3-year deal, though. $4.025 million for a long snapper, the largest in NFL history. I can't even say I've ever paid attention to this position before. I just, kind of... Maybe I never even realized he was really on the team, but then we got this guy, and suddenly it's an important position. It's kind of crazy. What do you think of this contract?
I think this has more to do with the punting squad overall. So Ryan Wright went down as one of the better rookie kickers punter that I can really remember in recent history. Like that, what was it, 70 plus, 75 yard bomb or whatever out of the end zone to put, who was the opposing team, whomever that might have been, can't remember off the top of my head, to put them in deep into their own territory from the back of our end zone.
Oh, he had a lot of big plays.
You just don't want to mess with something like that, An
electric punter, I mean, you don't see it too often. So,
and there's got to be some sort of chemistry there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, keep it as is. 1.3 mil or however much it would be per year is a drop in the bucket nowadays with the salary cap hitting 240.
Yeah.
240 mil. I'm not too worried about overspending in that position if it works.
Oh, yeah. And then we got Garrett Bradbury, who signed a 3-year, $15.75 million deal. I'm personally excited for it because he's a quality player, and I think the terms are relatively team-friendly. And that locks up a second O-lineman. Of course, I think it's certain we're going to extend Darisaw eventually once his rookie deal expires, and we already have O'Neal locked down, so I think it's really nice to have our O-line solidified except for the interior guard positions. I like Cleveland, but I'm not sure if he's worthy of a new contract, and the right guard spot still needs to be addressed. What do you think of the O-lineman and just Bradbury in general?
I feel like for a offensive lineman that $5 million a year isn't a bad deal for a starter, especially just 3 years. You're not really locked into anything long term with him, and overall, I feel like it was a solid move. He's progressed a lot because I do remember when we first picked him up, like he was not doing good.
I wasn't happy with him his first 3 years. I was just, let's let him go, and the team agreed. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. I mean, I think it was just pretty much a foregone conclusion. He's gone, but he really stepped it up this last year, and I just hope he can keep that up.
Yeah.
Then we have Nick Mullins, who got a 2-year, $4 million contract. I find him to be a quality backup, a big improvement over Sean Mannion. I don't know if you remember him coming in. It was just abysmal. I mean, that's a type of guy that came in there that made me realize or think to myself, why are people bashing Kirk Cousins the way they are? It's just unacceptable the way he played out there, and I was baffled the way we kept re-signing him, so it's nice to have a backup that I actually trust in should something go wrong. You have any thoughts on Nick Mullins?
Yeah. No, it's about the same. He's a quality backup, and I don't see why we would have let him walk. I'm not sure the exact contract details or anything like that off the top of my head.
He got slightly over $2 million guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken.
$2 million?
Yep, so it's a 2-year deal with $4 million, but I believe just slightly over half of it is guaranteed.
Jesus. That is crazy low money for a backup nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, and, he's, over Sam Darnold and stuff, and Jameis Winston making, double that for a single year. I don't know how much you're going to use him. Mullins, he's capable, and that's, I think, all you need with the backup quarterback.
Especially with the Iron Man, Kirk Cousins. Like, say what you want about him. He doesn't miss games, realistically. I think he's only missed one game for the Vikings, and that was just a sit game because we were already going to the playoffs.
Right. And then we just, actually, earlier today, we re-signed Madison, which is big news to me because I thought that he was probably gone the way we've been talking about not getting rid of Dalvin Cook like I had originally heard rumors of. So that might signal something that Cook might be on his way out for draft capital. Potentially we keep him, but we have a pretty full running back room with Madison and Cook remaining on, I think. What do you think of Madison?
I love Madison, but he does very much remind me of the you need 2 yards, he's going to get you 3 yards. You need 4 yards, he's going to get you 3 yards type of back. He does have some explosiveness, but for the most part, you could see he was mainly in there for those short yardage plays and stuff like that. And if that's how they're going to continue to use him, we're going to need someone who is not necessarily a workhorse back, because people don't use that term anymore, but someone with higher speed and less just bruiser potential. Yeah,
because, Cook's got speed, but he doesn't embrace contact like Adrian Peterson. No. And to have a lead back that doesn't want to embrace it, it just, I don't know. It makes me a little questionable on keeping him, especially with his age. And this is the first season that he was able to stay healthy the entire time. I was astonished that he was still available by the end of the season, because it's always something with him. He's definitely an explosive player, though, when he's all healthy, but I don't know, as he starts to age and the contract looks that way, if there's a suitor, I would definitely be interested in exploring the options, especially when you can find a cheaper replacement in the draft.
What do you think we get for him? What, as GM, what do you take for Dalvin Cook?
I mean, if you look at mock drafts among some people, they'll value him as a first-round pick and a second-round pick, but this isn't Madden, this isn't fake life. I mean, for real, at most, he's probably worth a fifth-round pick. I mean, we just saw Gilmore got traded from the Colts to the Cowboys for a late-round pick. I mean, we see talented players move for late-round picks all the time, and I think that's probably what Dalvin's worth. Even a sixth-round pick, though, like I said, a kicker might be nice, and you could maybe use that pick. I don't know, just to have the money off the books, but who knows, because, like I said, he is explosive, and losing him might take a step away from the offense, so it's kind of tough to figure what overall you want to do there.
Personally, I'm going for a third, maybe a fourth for him.
Wow, okay.
If it's like a high fourth, low third. So like one of the, say Kansas City with one of their comp picks towards the very end of the third offers that up, which I feel like that's a realistic trade value for him, because that at that point you're getting into like number 100, which is essentially fourth round, which without compensation picks, that's mid fourth round almost, I think.
But would they want to pay him with that contract? I mean, we had McKinnon for a while, and then he left to go to San Francisco to get a big contract, and then he was hurt all the years, and he's found his way to KC, making hardly any money and being a key contributor to a Super Bowl team. Are they going to want to pay 4 or 5 times that amount of money for Dalvin Cook?
So, I mean, I guess I wasn't talking about Kansas City in particular, more so just like that area of picks with all the new, well, I guess I can't say new, but with a seemingly high number of comp picks given out this year, that same third round pick isn't necessarily worth the third round picks of previous years.
Well, and then that almost wraps up all the free agents that we've signed, and well, all the ones we have so far that are big names, but we do have a free agent available that I still hope we re-sign, and Duke Shelley. Our defense wasn't great last year, so I'm not heartbroken about losing a lot of players, but he was young and he flashed potential. As far as our cornerback room, I would take potential. I struggled to believe in my head we'd find 3 or 4 corners better than Shelley, and I doubt teams are gearing up a multi-year, huge guaranteed deal for a guy like Shelley, so I hope something's in the works for a guy like him. What did you think of his play?
Well, he's still young enough to learn different. It's not like he's going to be set in his ways like someone we're going to be talking about soon here, Patrick Peterson. But I do believe that just the fact that he's still young enough where he hasn't been corrupted by like a bad system from a defensive coordinator that we shall not name on this podcast. I do believe that he can still learn from that and learn potentially how to do Brian Flores' man-to-man.
Yeah. And then we have a free agent that I'd just like to shout out about not getting back, Irv Smith Jr. I am excited for him to not be on the team, and I don't see how it is any realm of possibility we bring him back after signing Oliver and obtaining Hawkinson mid-season. Do you wish we keep this guy, or do you have any feelings on him?
You don't want to see this dude's average of like 2 drops a game anymore? What? You don't want to pay for that?
Well, that play in the Eagles haunts me still. I remember he was wide open, and he just missed it. And, people just all season, the Eagles destroyed the Vikings, and if he made that one play, we don't take all those 4th down conversion chances. We're not going to be as risky of a team. I think we had a chance to, if not win, be competitive. And Irv Smith dropped the ball literally and figuratively on that game, and I think that alone decided we don't need this guy. And I think the team felt the same way, because once he was hurt, they pulled off a big trade and got Hawkinson, so clearly there's not too much need for him, especially after he took Randy Moss's number. I don't understand. Cordero Patterson did it too. It's just not fitting for these guys. You just can't take the guy like Randy Moss's number.
That is true, yeah. Something behind the number could definitely be cursed. So then we are going to be leading into key losses for the Minnesota Vikings. And as I brought up earlier, we're going to be starting with Patrick Peterson. And how do you feel, Jordan, about him leaving?
Well, I do like the Steelers. I've always liked them as an AFC team, I guess, to root for if I'm not rooting for the Jaguars, because I have family down there. But it's nice that he goes to such a historic organization. But to me, it's a little weird. I mean, it seems like he probably chased the money on it overall, because, I mean, maybe the Steelers will be competitive. They're always in there. They're always a wild card fringe team. I don't see them competing for a Lombardi this year. Yeah. I don't see them competing for it next year, even in a year after that. And he's old. I think maybe he can help guide that secondary and be a nice mentor, but it's a little weird that he would go to the Steelers. And personally, I don't think it's too big of a loss for the Vikings, especially signing the corner we did. I think that fills the void. It adds speed and youth. And, I mean, Peterson was old. He was slow on the field, but he was smart. So we'd always have him by the sidelines where he could use the field to his leverage and everything. But, I mean, he was getting smoked on a lot of plays because these receivers are quick. So,
yeah, I mean, you pair someone that's 22 and just trying to prove themselves against a 32-year-old cornerback trying to play man-to-man, it's not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
That's just how it is.
Oh, yeah.
And I do feel like the key thing was that if the Vikings were to want to re-sign him, I think, or realistically, most teams, they were looking at doing a 1-year deal again.
Yeah.
And he was looking for a 2-year deal. I think that was the key deciding factor of it being the Steelers where he went to. And the Steelers just were willing to risk the 2-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have. I mean, they got TJ Watt, they have Minka Fitzpatrick, but they have a quarterback who's a rookie. They can afford other players, especially letting Juju go a few years ago. They just don't have a lot of big contracts on the books. I suppose Najee Harris might be a decision in the upcoming couple seasons, but the Steelers will be an interesting team for sure, but Patrick Peterson's not bringing them to a Super Bowl level.
Yeah.
And then there's Delvin Tomlinson, who got a big 4-year, $57 million contract from the Browns. I'm just astonished. He was hurt so much. He just felt like a bust with our team. And we were a horribly ranked defense. People are crying left and right. I don't understand. I mean, they were an abysmal defense. You can blame some on the defensive coordinator, but the players got to take some responsibility at some point. And we were bad at every level of defense. So I'm not hurt by it, and I think it's crazy that a team would give them that big of a contract, but the Browns will be the Browns.
This is definitely the Browns move. Yeah, I wasn't actually aware of the contract details until you just said it right there. That is crazy that you give an unproven guy that much.
Yeah, it's a big contract. And
that long. Like, Dalvin Tomlinson's the type of guy that would have gotten the Marcus Davenport deal at any rational organization, realistically. Like, 1 year, prove that you can stay healthy, and prove that you get that 10-season sack that you had a few years back. Prove that you still have that, then you get that 4-year, $57 million deal. Maybe more.
Oh, yeah. You combine him and Michael Pierce. The Vikings have just been whiffing on defensive tackle free agents. It might be time to look in the draft. I mean, it's been a long time since, sure, we had Linval Joseph for a few years, which was great. He was nice, but before that, it's been years since the Williams Wall. It's been over a decade since we were truly dominant in the middle, and I really miss those days.
Been a long time since we've been dominant on the defensive side of the ball in general, outside of, like, the first couple years of Zimmer. Even then, the second year, what were we, like, barely top 16.
Oh, they were excited. I mean, I was at the Minneapolis Miracle game, but I was going to bed the other night, and the NFL Network had that game rerunning, and it was so fun to watch our defense the first half. We were just shutting down Breeze, and he had Michael Thomas. They were an electric offense, and they couldn't do anything. I know things changed in the second half, but it was just fun to watch how good our defense was, and that was only half a decade ago, so like you said, though, it was only the first couple of years, and it gradually declined with Zimmer, so Oh well, and speaking of a mainstay for Zimmer's defense, Eric Kendricks going to the Chargers. That's a sad loss. Because I remember us drafting him, and, I'm pretty sure we saw him in training camp back when we were younger. I know we saw Barr there, and I think that was Barr's second year.
Yeah, that does sound right. Eric Kendricks might have been a rookie. I think that's why I liked him so much. And I really wanted us to pick up Lance Kendricks. I got no idea what's going on with him anymore, though.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I remember that.
I feel like that's a downgrade of a team, personally, for Kendricks.
Well, I would think he'd want to go to a contender. And, the Chargers have Justin Herbert, and they have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. They have a really explosive offense.
Austin Eckler for now.
But he wants to go.
Yeah.
And Joey Bosa, I forget exactly what happened, but he wasn't on the field at the end. I believe he made some mental error at the end of the playoff game. So he wasn't on the field to apply any pressure.
Yeah, he got ejected.
Okay, that's it. And don't they have Khalil Mack as well on the Chargers?
Yeah.
So they have potential, but I watched the Jaguars just dismantle them in the second half. I picked the Jaguars, and I was feeling like an idiot the first half, but not at the end. I felt very smart picking against the Chargers.
Man, they are arguably on the same level of choke artists as the Falcons. The Falcons are the only reason that we think choke in Falcons is because they did it on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
But in terms of consistency, man, the Chargers are way bigger chokers. Think about, what was it, 2021, the end of the season there. They could have taken the tie, both gone to the playoffs, and instead they screw up the overtime and end up losing the game and losing the playoff contention.
That's a team that had Phillip Rivers for a decade plus, and he's an underrated, underappreciated quarterback. Plus Antonio Gates, Tomlinson. They have had historic player after historic player. It almost feels like he went from one franchise like that to another, from the Vikings to the Chargers, and it baffles me that maybe the market wasn't big enough for a true contender, and the Chargers were his best option. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's hard to find someone who's even... Well, I guess I can't say that. He seemed like mid-tier inside linebacker. It's not as rare of a position as, say, edge or...
Well, he's getting expensive. He's expensive, and he's getting old. And slow. He's regressing. He was an elite inside linebacker, but like you said, it's not a premium position. And that's a big factor in us letting him go. Then you have the saddest player we had to let go, Adam Thielen. That one's heartbreaking, and he did have a $20 million cap hit, so I understand you got to make the move. But now I'm hearing that he's gonna talk to the Panthers. What?
I heard Kansas City.
You heard Kansas City. Okay, I heard he had a meeting with the Panthers. That's the first team he's gonna visit. Kansas City, that is a team that I understand fully. They lost Juju. He would fit in there and be excellent.
Mind you, this was from a very uncredible source that I heard Kansas City. So I take that with a grain of salt. I would love to see him and Mahomes. I would love to see him catching passes from Mahomes and potentially going to a Super Bowl. I want to see him get a ring.
Yep, me too. Because, the Panthers have the number 1 overall pick, and they just traded DJ Moore, so they do have a big need for a wide receiver, and presumably they moved up for a quarterback. So it would be nice to have a veteran like that to help lead, and I think that's a team that would probably be able to give him the most money that he's going to get on the open market, if not top 5.
I can't think of a huge contract the Panthers have signed with any player over the past,
Christian McCaffrey.
But are they still even paying him?
I don't think so.
I would imagine they took a pretty significant dead cap for this year, but the next couple of years got to be on the Niners more than likely.
Yep.
So they could probably throw $50 million at Adam Thielen and still be fine on the books. But do you really want to replace DJ Moore with a 32-year-old wide receiver that can barely keep up with? Same thing we were just talking about with Patrick Peterson, man. the cornerbacks are only getting younger and faster. Do you really want to sign a 32-year-old wide receiver to be your number one guy?
Sure.
That can't run anymore?
Sure, a mentor role. I mean, you can pay him the big money because your quarterback's not going to be expensive. And they potentially have room to go up and draft a wide receiver or pick one later. I mean, and Thielen could be a good mentor for that guy and the quarterback, you know, teach him how to be in the NFL. And, I mean, because he's a great person, too. So I think it could work. Would I do it as a Super Bowl contender? No. But if I am trying to develop someone and have the spare change, I could see bringing Thielen in. If I'm a contender, I'm not offering big money, but I would still be very happy to have him as the third or fourth guy on my team.
And I don't think he goes for the big money if he goes to a contender, because there's got to be that, like, wanting to get a ring, you know? There's got to be that feeling there.
But he feels like he has juice left in the tank. So maybe he wants to go somewhere on, like, a 1 or 2 year deal of a prove-it contract, or, you know, make one more big flash at the big money and then go to a contender at the very end or something. But like you said, he's running out of speed. I don't know how much longer he really has. What realistically has and what he has in his mind are two very different things. Yeah. So
I would hate to see him go down the road of like a Deshaun Jackson or something like that. One of those guys that are still on the free agent list at age 38 just to get picked up, make one big play, and then that's it. They collect.
Jackson will give that to you, though. He'll give you one good play before he goes out.
Yeah. one 40-plus yard play, and that's what you signed him for, you know, $1 to $2 million for.
Well, and then we have guaranteed contracts coming up. Zadarius Smith on Friday will be set to have $5.05 million in the books. Harrison Smith $1.25 million, and Dalvin Cook at $2 million. Do you think all these players stick around? Do you think we're going to make a move before then?
I could see them sticking around past that 17th. Especially Harrison Smith. We don't get rid of him. I don't think he's been...
I've heard we're going to restructure and he's going to take a pay cut, and that would be ideal.
Pay cut nowadays is...
Yep.
I just realized this is a podcast. I put quotes around pay cut for all of the players. They for the most part, get paid the same. Anyway, so I don't think that $1.25 million we really have to worry about at all for Harrison Smith, someone we're likely to keep anyway.
Yep.
The big two names we got to talk about there are Zadarius Smith and Dalvin Cook. I almost feel like teams are kind of playing the waiting game. There's no way the Vikings haven't fielded offers for both of those two players.
I've heard that we definitely have offers like on the books for Cook. I don't know if they're still there or whatever. I mean, we've seen the free agent market play out with Jamal Williams going to the Saints, Montgomery going to the Lions. So it's starting to solidify who's left. So teams that might still want a running back. We did take Madison off the board as well. So that leaves Dalvin Cook as a potential option for some teams. I wouldn't be surprised if we let him go before Friday in some trade. I don't think we'd outright cut him. But if some team is willing to give up some picks, I feel like we could take it.
But isn't the difference between him being traded and him being cut that $2 million? So if we were to trade him if we were to trade him post Friday, cutting him and trading him is probably going to save us the same amount of money at that point.
I'm just thinking about not even the money though, like if you could get draft capital for it too, because I mean there's potentially a late round pick at running back that you could hit on. I don't think you're going to outright replace Dalvin Cook, but you could find someone to add to the running back room. We already have Madison and that rookie we drafted last year.
Nwangwu.
Yes, yeah. Nwangwu. So I think we have a pretty nice running back. Plus we let go of guys like Boone. I mean, they just came out of nowhere, and you know now they're primarily role players on other teams. Or Boone actually started some games for the Broncos, so we develop running backs like no other.
Yeah, for whatever reason, any running back, until proven differently, any running back that comes into Minnesota's system is going to be good. Right. I don't see why. I don't know. I don't understand how it all works, but that's just been the pattern.
Right. And then you have Zadarius Smith. Like I said, Davenport, Hunter, and Smith. Oh, I'm just gushing at the thought of it. Davenport, the signing, maybe thinks to me that we might be moving on from Za'Darius. But like you said, I mean, he only had half a sack last year, and Za'Darius had way more than that. They were all at the first half of the season, and he disappeared, so it makes me iffy on Za'Darius, but if he's healthy, if Davenport's healthy, they're all good to go. Scary pass rushing trio. But there's a big question mark on him, and that is a big amount of guaranteed money. $5 million is a big amount that you're locked on the books. If he's still here on Friday, I don't see us letting him go. That's $5 million guaranteed.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, if he's still here on the books on Friday, we're not getting rid of him. I don't even think, unless it's a decent trade offer or whatever, I think that we are forcing him to stay here at that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't pull some, like, holdout garbage or anything like that.
Hopefully not. I mean, wasn't it a 3-year deal, though? Not a 2-year, if I'm not mistaken? I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 years, but, I mean, he doesn't have much leverage right now.
Okay.
He's pretty much stuck with us, because he asked for a cut, and we denied it. Yeah. So either we were looking for options to trade, or we're just gonna keep him. He's listed his house. I don't know if he's playing hardball or what, but because he acted like it was so great to play with Danielle Hunter, I don't. And then we were ranked as the number 1 team from players to come. I mean, Kirk Cousins just tweeted that he asked for a new football to practice in the off season, and then they shipped him an entire box full of footballs. Like, things like that are just show how great our organization is. Top facilities. So for him to just want to leave after being with his such good friend, I don't know. Maybe there's something up with Za'Darius that we don't know behind the scenes.
I think he might have just wanted to get revenge on the Packers. Think about, like, the 2 games he showed up for, huge this year.
Yeah.
Those were the games he was hyped for. And those are the games he showed up for, which, I mean, do it again this season then. Like, I don't know.
It'll be sweet hitting Jordan Love. I mean, we definitely look like the best team in the NFC North right now. And the Lions, to me, are a very good team. They showed a lot of flash, but losing Jamal Williams, I think that hurts.
Yeah.
I think that really hurt. I think he was a dog. Like, not even just his talent as a running back, but I feel like he had a nice energy. And, I mean, I know it's a running back so undervalued, but they did bring Montgomery, so they're definitely the biggest contender. But the Bears, I'm not sold on Justin Fields yet. I'm just not sold as him as a passer.
Yeah, we have to wait till we can see what he does with an actual receiving talent.
Yep.
Like that Chase Claypool trade, total bust compared to what they gave up for him, which is essentially a first-round pick now, pick number 32.
Oh, yeah. Or 33, right? Or
no, 32 because Miami lost their pick, so the last pick of the first round is 31st.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, wow. So essentially gave up a first-round pick for Chase Claypool, whom I don't think produced highlights post-trade. I think he
had one highlight even before. Like, he wasn't... Like, the Steelers just produce receivers like we produce running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming out of nowhere. I mean, we had a bust over here, Mike Wallace. I mean, and then he wasn't very good with the Miami Dolphins as well. And that just seems to be like a history with them. Yeah. And Antonio Brown was a great player, though. He was an exception. He was worth holding on to. They obviously... even with the off-field drama, still thought he was worth holding on to. It just shows how great of a player he was.
Yeah. Especially Mike Tomlin and his no BS attitude. Like, if he was willing to put up with Antonio Brown for that long, like, there must have been something there for him in particular.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's good for today's episode, then. We've talked quite a lot about the free agents for the Vikings and potentially who we might bring back and still lose at this point.
Yeah, I think that we just about covered our key topics, and you have a fantastic day now, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Thought the game about fun, but it's fun playing games. Play the reins of Castamere, cause I'm married to the game and about to make a killing while all the blood's spilling. It's Red Dead and I'm about redemption, so come peep this track and hear my own ascension. So many words, you couldn't bench press them.